That's just a 1-2 punch right there, Ashlee.
Cross over the Atlantic.
Well, it gets a first-class ticket, I believe, and then, yeah.
No, it absolutely does, and that ends up creating what we call a hurricane graveyard, as that dust kind of sucks moisture out from above the ocean when we get into the season. So if there's any silver lining, hopefully that'll reduce the number of hurricanes in the Atlantic. But let's bring it back close to home, because air quality right now, at least in our region, poor due to the wildfire smoke. And you can see that it's certainly worse as you get north and west of Milwaukee. Pretty much sandwiched between Milwaukee and Minneapolis is where there is the worst pollutants from the smoke. But here across lower Michigan, we're looking at moderate levels of pollutants, and that's pretty substantial. Usually through the overnight, we start to see a little bit of a reprieve, but given that we were really mild overnight, we still have very thick smoke layer, and so that's why we're dealing with the poor air quality for today. But that smoke layer thick across all of southeastern Michigan, so that's going to filter out the sunshine once again, and then we'll have clouds rolling in with some rain chances going into the afternoon. But sitting at 70 over at Metro Airport, 67 in Ann Arbor, 71 in Howell, 68 in Port Huron. Southerly winds about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And so temperature change right now, anywhere from about 5 to upward of 20 degrees warmer. I mean, substantially warmer in Lapeer by 24 degrees from just 24 hours ago. So you notice the difference as you step outside. And we'll also see that humidity rise a little bit today. That's going to clash with the cold front. But in the meantime, you start to see more of that filtered sunshine with sunrise at 5:58 and then sunset at 9:06 tonight. Your forecast planner, hazy sunshine will be replaced with some afternoon storms. We're also breezy, maybe 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts before we were even talking about stronger wind gusts within potential storms. And so the window for severe weather will be about 2 to 9 o'clock, but I'm going to break that down in further detail in a moment. Current wind gusts are about 15 to 20 miles per hour, and you start to see those winds pick up a little bit as we head through midday. Now, Exact Track 4D is showing you where that cold front is, line of showers just behind it, and that will be tracking into our region this afternoon. So here's that hour-by-hour look as the showers are a little spotty that are preceding the front by the time we get to 1 o'clock this afternoon, so I won't rule out a stray little shower or two, but the bulk of the rain will pick up after 2. 5 o'clock still looking pretty scattered, but latest data coming in, pulling in more of those scattered storms, probably closer to about 6, 7 o'clock, and we will hold on to the rain even beyond the window of the severe threat as we go into tomorrow morning. Still, some heavier downpours can't be ruled out. It's not going to be until midday Thursday that we start to dry things out. So damaging wind gusts, hail, primary threats on the table if we were to see some of those storms reach severe limits later on this afternoon. But the rain will help with our air quality, but that smoke forecast will be building back in as we head into the later part of your Thursday potentially, and then we could see a little bit more for the second half of the weekend. Clouds and radar forecast. So I started it on Thursday to show you that by noon Thursday, all of that is out of here. That's why I think you could see a little bit more of that smoke creep in. But then Friday, we're tracking rain again. So 5 a.m. Friday, some showers, especially down to our south. And then once we get to about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I think a lot of that's out of here. So if you have Friday afternoon, evening plans, don't, scrap them right now, as I think that we'll have some drier conditions building in, and that's going to take us into the weekend. Upper 70s for your Saturday and Sunday. So seasonal weekend with some storm chances as we go into early next week. That is your full forecast.
You're chasing around 2 little kids. I mean, you're breaking a sweat, and you're cleaning the house, and you're cooking the dinner.
That's exactly her answer. and it's usually what, do you want to? All right, turn it up. Okay, break it. Turn it down.
Go. Do what you need to do.
Oh, goodness. So, yeah, I mean, you're cranking the AC today for sure if you have it. And if you don't, you want to find a spot where you can stay cooler. Today would be maybe a good day to go catch a movie, or for, the few malls that are still around, something like that, where you can definitely enjoy some of the air conditioning, local libraries. But Belleville's, we're taking a live look outside. What would be, you'd think, a nice lake day is going to be disrupted by the haze this morning and storm potential this afternoon. So we finally get the summer-like heat, but then we're contending with all these other factors. So right now we're sitting in the upper 60s. We've fallen a few degrees through the early morning hours. Southerly winds, though, will take us back, not just into the 70s where we were early this morning, but well into the 80s. And even with that drop, we're still about 20 degrees warmer in some spots than where we were at this time yesterday morning. So A noticeable difference as you step outside, you're also going to notice that smoke, and that has resulted in poor air quality across the area. Now, we don't have an air quality advisory to bring you, but you should know that the pollutants are moderate across the area from that smoke. Now, let's zoom out and you can see that it's certainly worse up in Wisconsin on the west side of Lake Michigan off towards Green Bay. But once again, here, we haven't seen it that bad. Now, it is pretty thick out there. You saw that live look at Belleville, and right now with our smoke detection map, we're picking up thick layers across southeastern Michigan. So that's going to continue to bring us haze until the showers arrive. Now, that's going to be the silver lining with the front that comes through, is that's going to trigger the showers that can push some of that smoke out of here. However, with the clashing heat and cold, well, then we're talking about the potential for some stronger storms to develop this afternoon and evening. But we'll get into the mid to upper 80s across the area, a bit breezy, but that window will be about 2 to 9 for the potential for strong to severe storms. Right now, wind gusts are between about 15 to 20 miles per hour. We'll see those winds pick up early afternoon, 20 to 30 mile per hour gusts, but they could be even stronger in pockets of storms. There's that cold front, so it is bringing some rain off to the west side of the state. It'll take some time. It's slow moving to work its way here. So by 1, you might get a stray little shower, but it's going to be probably after 4 or 5 that we start to see those showers build in, especially 6 o'clock onward. I think a better chance for some of those downpours or an isolated strong cell. And after 10 o'clock, we're still taking that rain even into tomorrow morning, where we could have a few heavy downpours leading to localized flooding. But by the time we get to midday, we're drying things out. So wind, hail, primary threats with anything that develops today. That pushes that smoke out of here. But as we dry out Thursday afternoon, you might notice some of that smoke starting to work its way back into the area. We'll have a chance for some showers in our southern communities Friday morning into the early afternoon, but drying things out in the evening. We will have a dry weekend ahead with seasonal 70s in your forecast.
Now, forewarned weather with Exact Track 4D.
Well, good Wednesday morning, folks. We're tracking a little bit of everything in the weather department, from haze, heat, humidity, storms, and so all of that coming your way. This is a live look at Metro Airport, where some of the folks will be escaping it as they take a flight out of town. But we're dealing with filtered sunshine, and we're still holding on to that Canadian wildfire smoke in the upper atmosphere. Just shy of 70 at Metro. We're already at 70 in Pontiac and Port Huron, and 64 in Grosse Ile. That southerly wind will be helping us crank up the heat today, and so those temperatures starting off on either side of 70, which is anywhere from about a 10 to 20 degree upward swing over the past 24 hours. And obviously the heat not helping with the air quality when you factor in all of that smoke. And so we're looking at moderate pollutants across southeastern Michigan, but you can see more hazardous conditions off towards Wisconsin. And this has to do with that wildfire smoke, thick layer still draping southeastern Michigan. The hope is that a cold front and some rain will push some of that smoke out of here. And so forecast for today, we're rising into the mid to upper 80s. We'll be tracking a couple spotty showers around 1, but 2 to 9 o'clock is when we have more of a better chance for showers and storms. It will be breezy even when we're not dealing with the rain, and we'll be dealing with that hazy sunshine before the clouds thicken up ahead of the showers. But marginal level 1 risk for those storms to become severe later on this afternoon between 2 and 9. Damaging wind gusts will be the primary threat, though I won't rule out hail or localized flooding, especially given this is a slow moving front. So if you get pockets of heavy downpours that just take time to push out in low-lying areas, you could start to see some of that rain accumulate and create some ponding and pooling. So wind gusts right now right around 20 miles per hour, and the winds will pick up a little bit more, especially as we get closer to that time frame of some of the storms. So we will have 25 to 30 mile per hour gusts into the early afternoon. As we take a closer look at the hour by hour, here are the little spotty showers I was talking about around 1, but as that line pushes across the region, it's a little broken around 5 o'clock or so, but it looks like after 6 is when we have a better chance for some of those storms to develop. And we're still going to hold on to rain after the window of severe weather. After 10 o'clock, we'll hold on to rain chances even into tomorrow morning, where we could be dealing with moderate showers until we get to the lunch hour and we're drying things out. In fact, those clouds will give way to some sunshine by tomorrow afternoon. So severe threats recapping for today: damaging wind gusts and hail, primary threats this afternoon, early evening. The rain helps with the smoke, as you see some of that smoke will be pushing out of here as we head into the early part of Thursday. But as we start to dry out, you might get a little bit more of that sinking into the region. But we have more rain in the forecast come Friday, so that dry spell will be brief for Thursday afternoon. But as we head into Friday, better chance for rain to develop probably probably along and south of either I-94, maybe even as far north as M59, but more so for the southern communities. And then that's out of here between about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So if you do have Friday evening plans outside, I think you can leave the umbrella at home. We'll be drying things out, taking that dry weather into the weekend with some seasonal 70s sticking around for both your Saturday and Sunday.